First week, worked on the offhand. Second week, we had the stick. All right. Now, then the dagger. Now we're taking all of those skills, putting them in just two-sword use. So again, I have handouts for those who want them. I also put them on the site, and all of these videos are also on the YouTube page as well. All right, so any of that information is all available to you guys. All right, let me get it back. What's the benefits of having a sword in your hand versus having a dagger in your hand?
Reach.
All right. So yes, you want to have you're going to have increased range, increased defense, right? One thing you have to worry about though is the close game, getting in close. Once you pass those points, now that's when you're vulnerable, and that's where dagger really comes into play, coming in close, getting past that defense. All right, another one good thing that I like, especially melees, you can hold off multiple people at a time and have a big, wide threatening area that you can cover. Gives you a lot of safety on the melee field. One-on-one, you don't have to worry about that so much, except if a person moves offline, and now you have more range to cover yourself. Somebody moves to my left with a dagger, well, I don't have quite as much. Again, we don't have any grasping ability, unless you want to like put down the sword and use your hand. But another thing with two swords, you can drop either one if you want. Now for SCA combat, for a case, you can do everything with this sword that you can do with this sword. There's no difference. So when you're authorizing, everything is the same. But one of the issues that we have generally is that we're more practiced and proficient with our primary hand than our secondary hand. This is why in single work I stress working the offhand. I lose this right hand, now I have to go lefty. I have to be good to be able to fend off whatever that other person has. Okay? So work your offhand. Every master will tell you this. Work your offhand. Be as good with your offhand as you are with your primary hand. What else? All right. So, Kendrick, if you would come up and play with me for a second. You can just, you don't need a mask or anything. You can back it up just a little bit, please. So one of the things that we're going to be dealing with here is timing and tempo. All right? So we're not doing, again, put your swords up, 1 and 2. We're coming in 1, 2. We're trying to do things in time and together. So we're making the openings as you're striking. Getting those swords offline, however you do it. All right? So that's a big thing. When we're talking with dagger, it's a little bit more 1, 2. But here, we have a lot more area to control, especially with the other person having 2 swords. We have to make sure that we control both that space at the same time as we're making the attacks. So it's a double attack and a double offense at the same time. So you have more stuff to work with, but it's also you get tied up in each other. And that's what you have to worry about. So with the early masters in their square stance, they do things up and down to the side. Whereas in the later ones, you can go a little bit more parallel. Alright? So I'm going to have David and Henrik do some slow sparring to show some techniques. If you put your mask on. To show some techniques of how to work 2 swords at the same time, especially against other 2 sworders. We're going to do a mixed weapons class at another time, and we can go over the benefits and the drawbacks of those types of things as well. All right, so for this exercise, I want you guys to go at 50% speed, okay?
Okay.
All right? And this will be, try to make it as natural as possible, all right? But we need to show how to work with both swords at the same time. Now, first off, Kenrick has swords that are basically the same length and have basically the same kind of coverage. David has one longer sword and one shorter sword with a little less coverage. So this in itself is going to affect how they fight with a sword. What you bring in your offhand is going to matter. It doesn't matter as much as the tip does, but this does matter. All right.
Do you want me fighting square?
You fight whatever you want. Doesn't really matter. This is. So I'll have you guys raise your swords, 50% speed, and engage. So David won his later 3 style. Look how they're trying to both control that center space. All right, just reset. What kind of offense and what kind of defenses are they?
That was messy.
All right. So one thing that Henrik did right there is that he came right over David's sword. That is a nice technique to do in case, but in anything. This is why we work the skill gaining the blade, especially in case work is vitally important. You have control of those blades, you have control of the center line, you've already won the fight. 2 more, please. See how they're actively engaging in offense and defense at the same time.
Hold it. I did not find the blade.
Oh, very nice. Very good. Good job. All right. You guys can take the masks off. Thank you very much. So one of the things that you might have noticed with David, using a shorter sword gives you more leverage.
Yes.
Right? And having a square stance, or even a profile stance, he still has a lot of leverage. And he still threatens a lot with this one. I prefer this method myself, using a shorter blade. It gives you a little bit more leverage, especially when you're trying to control that center space. I like to control myself. Control here, stab here. All right?
Also, it's not a dagger, but when they go in, it's easier to back up a shorter blade.
So the longer the blade, the easier it is to control out here. Control and be controlled out here. The shorter the blade, the more control you have towards the center of your body. So when looking at what kind of weapon you can put in your secondary hand, why are you putting that there? If I have this in my secondary hand, this is a big, heavy, stiff blade with a lot of hand protection. This one isn't going anywhere. You're not batting this one around. This is a huge defense right here. However I decide to hold it. Unless I hold it way up here, then it's a lot easier to control. It's heavy. So keeping this in a low guard gives me a lot of advantage here. Does that mean anything?
Just to come to that. One thing to be aware of when you're coming to case guard, a lot of times, Leo was mentioning this basically, the idea of trying to keep it on different levels. The reason you don't want to keep them on the same level is because it becomes very easy for the opponent to parry both your blades at once. And once you're both parried, well, you're kind of out of luck. So your idea is to make different levels. Now, granted, a wily opponent can come down and try to do that, but it's a lot harder to catch this angle than it is to catch the flat angle. Because that angle is much easier to come in, grab those both, and then you're inside with the blade that's free and he's got two.
There's nothing I can do from that. Unless I come over to punch.
Yes, period technique, not SCA friendly.
Yes.
That's one big thing. Be aware of what your opponent's bringing in. It's just like single. You want to know what your opponent has. If your opponent is bringing in a 42, like I'm cruising around with a 45, this has just changed up the game a bit. Now, granted, this sucker is going to be pretty easy for him, especially with that heavy one, to manipulate. Yeah, if he can catch a hold of this guy, he can pretty much push it offline. But if I'm able to get past that, if I'm able to disengage around that, I can be way back against the wall and almost kind of. Absolutely.
A lot of the earlier styles have the long blade and they're way back. And so this way they only have to do a small gather step, come in to get in that range. Boom. And look how far away I am. Like, boop, boop, and they're dead. They enjoy those practices.
So, is your opponent bringing in matching 45s with hilts that are way out here and holding them at the end of the hilt?
His name Will Death.
Exactly.
Yeah, these are things to be aware of, because that type of case is different from a set of 35s that are, or what are they, 30s?
Yeah, my
Yeah.
small ones are 30s.
Now, granted, those 30s, if he brings in both of those 30s, he's got a really furious inside game that he can do. But he has to get inside with them.
This is a very close, short close game. I have to be in here.
He's inside. He can, if he moves fast and he's able to push your blades away, he's got a lot of distance on him.
And with these particular styles of swords, or court swords, it's a lot more finger work you have to do.
May I?
Yes.
One thing that is really good with these is because you have leverage, I have on multiple opponents, if you come up into a square, if you see somebody who's coming up square with you, I've been able to multiple times, just through their not expecting it, come up like this and go in. And it's mostly because with the short blades, you don't have the flexibility, you have a little more structure to them that can easily find the opponent's blade and go in. Generally when they're not expecting it.
But the weakness for doing that is also if the opponent is able to keep you at range.
Yep.
Yeah, if you're not able to get that cover to be able to close the distance with them, you're stuck. And then having a mid-range weapon is also good. Mid-range means it's equally as good inside as it is outside. And then you have the outside range. This is a club. When you're in close range, this is not going to do you much of anything. It's not going to help you at all.
So one other thing I want to point out, you'll come on up, is the aspect of side steps and voids. So that way I can put two swords against this one body. So now if I'm here, now I have more against it. Of course, that 45.
It's pretty funny.
So step a little bit this way. So if I'm coming up here, nice and slow, and taking that sword here,
My blades are crossed. My blades are crossed and stuck with each other. It's going to take a lot for me to get out.
so especially working case, you have to work the angles. Look how am I going to take this angle and make this work? So this again, look at what your opponent's bringing. What kind of styles are they using? Because every style that you have has advantages and disadvantages. All right, so let's pair up and do some two-sword work. Yes.
What about dual currents?
Dual curves. I am not a saber expert.
No idea?
I've seen it before. Again, it's the same idea because typically speaking, you're not going to be bringing in like super long ones.
Right. Well,
So they'd probably be mid-range to short-range weapons.
All right.
Much along the same idea as the 30s.
With the saber work, lot of this saber work is here, and you're coming down and you're doing a lot of cutting techniques. So if I'm here, right, and I'm coming in, and I'm looking more for this type of stuff.
Right.
That's how I would do it. I would use these more for cut and thrust than for what are you doing, but that's me. Play with it, have fun.
All right. We're gonna figure this out.